Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Lou, and in today's video we're going to be going over every single team in the NBA and giving them a realistic and unrealistic moves for this off-season. Now, these are all my own ideas, maybe some influenced by trade rumors and things like that, and just pretty much going off vibes. Let's get straight into it. We're going to be starting with the Eastern Conference today, and first up we have the Boston Celtics. For a realistic move for the Boston Celtics, I have get a backup center. This could be a free agency signing. Mitchell Robinson is a free agent this season, and I know that the Knicks probably want to bring him back, but it wouldn't be a terrible idea for the Celtics to throw him some money, have some backup minutes for Nimi, as he was exposed a lot in the offseason last year, going up against Joel Embiid. Probably going to lose Nikola Vucevic in this offseason, so why not bring in someone better? And if we're looking for someone a bit cheaper, also got Mo Wagner and Brook Lopez, maybe some spacing for when Nimi's not on the floor. Now for an unrealistic, I have get Giannis, which I know seems like a pretty realistic thought at the moment, but getting Giannis without losing too much. I mean, we're probably going to have to lose Jaylen Brown, but if they could get it done without losing Jaylen Brown, no, I don't think Giannis comes to this team and helps us win the championship straight away, but I don't think he makes the team much worse. Tatum and Giannis together would be a phenomenal duo, but I do believe that you need more than just two star players to win a championship. Next, we have the Brooklyn Nets. For a realistic move, trading MPJ while his value's high. Just coming off a all-star season, if you're the Brooklyn Nets, you need to maximize this value before it's too late. Get some future picks, assets, or young players, and continue to tank. My unrealistic move is signing a big name like Austin Reeves, I know, which is rumored to be true, but I think something like that would be heading in a different direction for the Nets. You know, signing someone like Austin Reeves or Zach LaVine or Trae Young, you know, could be a good way to lure other stars to Brooklyn. Let me know what you would do if you were the Brooklyn Nets. Next, we have the New York Knicks. And yes, they just came over a championship, so any moves doesn't really sound very realistic at all. But for realistic, I have tried to re-sign Mitchell Robinson. You know, he was very big in that playoff run, especially coming up against Wemby, and you might have to pay him a bit more, but I think he's worth it in the long run. But if other teams offer him more, you can always sign a backup to do a similar job to Mitchell Robinson. Someone like Rob Williams, I think, could come in and perfectly fit into that spot in the rotation. Now, unrealistic, I don't think that they're going to do this, and it would be pretty stupid to do this, but to trade assets while they're high. Role players like OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, their stock is at an all-time high right now, being the leading role players to just take the team to a championship. If they really wanted to, they could trade for another star or even a top pick in this draft to set them up for the future. You know, keep this going, because we've seen in the past with the Celtics and OKC, after you win a championship, bringing back the same team, it doesn't always work out. So maybe going for a younger or different approach might be a good idea for the Knicks. Next up, we have the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, a realistic move that I think that the 76ers should make this offseason is re-signing Quentin Grimes. No matter if you want to keep him or trade him, I think Quentin Grimes is a great asset to have on this team as a backup point guard or guard to Tyrese Maxey and BJ Edgecombe. But I also think he could be used in a trade package as well, as a lot of teams would be interested in Quentin Grimes, and maybe trade for a wing player like a Kuminga, John Collins, Andrew Wiggins. You could sign Quentin Grimes and package him in a trade for one of these players. Now, an unrealistic move that the 76ers could have this offseason is convincing one of the 29 other GMs to take on Paul George's contract, which is going to be a hard task to do, but if you could get Paul George's contract off and still getting some value in return, maybe some role players, that could really help this team out, you know, as we've already got Tyrese, Joel Embiid, and BJ Edgecombe, one of the best rookies in the draft, going into his sophomore season, has a lot to prove. Some role players around this team could be lethal in the East. Next up, we have the Toronto Raptors. A realistic move that Toronto Raptors could make this offseason is trading Emmanuel Quickley's contract for some depth. You know, start Jamal Shed at the point guard, hope that he can become your point guard of the future. Trading someone like Emmanuel Quickley to try and get maybe a shooter. I was thinking someone like Shaedon Sharpe, or at best Trey Murphy, or even one of the guards off of OKC. Now, unrealistic move for the Toronto Raptors this offseason is another team that I'm going to say try and get Giannis. You know, packaging some contracts like Barrett quickly, Jakob Poeltl and Grady Dick, and obviously some picks to hopefully pair Scotty Barnes with Giannis and CMB to have one of the greatest defensive front courts of all time. Next up, we have the Chicago Bulls. This offseason should be pretty hard to mess up by the Chicago Bulls, as they have the 4th pick, and with these top guys, they're pretty much destined to either fall into Cam Boozer or Caleb Wilson. You know, whichever one falls into the 4th pick, that's who they should take. Don't make any stupid picks like another Patrick Williams, you know. After this, continue to just build up these young players, Martas, Josh Giddey, and get the value up of players like Isaac Okoro and Patrick Williams to hopefully trade down the line. Next team we have Cleveland. Now, I think it's time to blow up this kind of core, not blow it up, but you got to trade one of the bigs. And if I was the Cleveland Cavaliers, I would rather keep Mobley because of the youth and the upside, but you can still get quite a bit for Jared Allen. He just proved in the playoffs that the lights weren't too bright and that he was actually one of the best players on the team at a lot of moments. Most consistent, at least. I think that they could trade Allen and maybe a few other pieces to get a good wing that they've been looking for. You know, they've got James Harden, they've got Donovan Mitchell, they've got Evan Mobley. That wing position is just something to be desired. I have a player like Miles Bridges, I think would be a great fit on this team. You know, he is a decent defender, a freak athlete, and he can shoot the hell out of the ball. And I just think he would be perfect teammate alongside James Harden. Now, another unrealistic trade, including Giannis. This trade would probably have to be centered around Mobley, because I think that's what the Bucks would want the most from this team, but could also include a few other young players from the Cavs, you know, Keon Ellis, Max Strus, and obviously draft compensation. But I don't know if the Cavs would be able to get this done, but this would be, I guess, a good stepping stone. And yes, again, I don't think Giannis comes to this team and they're a championship level team, but I do think he helps them, especially in the playoffs, where they have been struggling for the past few years. Next up on the list, we have the Detroit Pistons. Despite his awful playoff series, I think that the Pistons need to re-sign Jalen Duren, because he is going to be on the market and people will be sending him that money hoping that Detroit aren't smart enough to ignore that last playoff run and think this is still a young 22-year-old center who was a first-time All-Star and not jump the gun too soon. Re-sign Jalen Duren, and then another move is to just sign a better backup for Cade Cunningham or another creator on the team. For a backup, I have someone like Kobe White, Kevin Porter Jr., or Colin Sexton. For another creator, best case scenario, thinking someone like Trey Murphy would be great alongside Cade Cunningham. You know, he's able to create shots for himself. He's a lethal shooter. He's got some size on him as well. An unrealistic move for the Detroit Pistons, I would have making a bigger move, a star to pair up with Cade Cunningham. Pairing him with someone like Kyrie Irving to join him in the backcourt. You know, we got shot creation. We've seen that how well Kyrie Irving can work on a team with a star point guard in Luka Doncic. They made it to the finals together, and I just think that this Detroit Pistons team is a bit better than that team and could definitely make a run in the East with Kyrie Irving. Another one being Kawhi Leonard. You know, he brings the same thing. He brings defense, but he also brings offense at that wing position with size. And what you'd have to give up for them, probably Ron Holland and your whole entire bench, but would it be worth it? Maybe. Next team, we've got the Indiana Pacers. After losing their top pick to the Clippers, I could see them trying to trade back up for a higher pick in the draft. You know, they just spent this whole last season tanking for potentially a high draft pick to pair up with Tyrese Halliburton, as well as their new acquisition in Zubac. But if they don't do that, I could see them trying to trade for a wing like Trey Murphy to pair up with Hallie Siakam and Zubac. But honestly, I don't think that they will be making many trades this offseason, because they've just been waiting for Tyrese Halliburton to come back, and they just traded for Zubac. They're probably going to run this back and see how it goes, and then possibly make some adjustments during during the season before the trade deadline. Unrealistic trade for this team, get Giannis. Next, we have the Milwaukee Bucks. For a realistic move I have for them this offseason is to get as many assets that they possibly can for trading a top 3 player in the world. It would suck for the Milwaukee Bucks if they had to get rid of Giannis, and it feels like they don't really win anything back in return. Personally, I think that the Heat trade package has the most for the Milwaukee Bucks. You know, you could get Khalil Ware as your young center. You get Tyler Hero, an all-star, has been an all-star. You know, you get him on a team by himself. Now, an unrealistic move for the Milwaukee Bucks is to not trade Giannis and keep a top 3 player in the world, and help build a compatible team around him. You know, we've got Ryan Rollins, who was a most improved candidate this year. Him, Giannis. You know, you've got some other pieces that you could trade away. Their value has gone up. You know, there's people like KPJ, Gary Harris. You've got Miles Turner. You know, this team doesn't have to be all that bad, especially in a weaker East. Next up, we have Atlanta. If I was Atlanta, I would re-sign CJ McCollum, extend Onyeka Okongwu, and sign another center. Onyeka Okongwu is a great center, but he's a bit undersized, and he cannot be the only center on your roster. So unrealistic is to trade for a star to pair up with Jalen Johnson, someone like a Jaylen Brown, a center like Anthony Davis. Then you can scoot Onyeka Okongwu off to the bench. You have a great starting center if he can stay healthy, hoping that a team will take the risk on Zachary Ricochet. Last but not least, we have the Charlotte Hornets. The Charlotte Hornets didn't have the greatest season, but the second half of the season, they looked like a playoff team. And yes, they missed the playoff, but they end up having the 14th and 18th pick in this year's draft. So if I was the Charlotte Hornets, I'm extending my players, LaMelo, Miller, Bridges, and continuing to draft well, as they have over the last few years with people like Brian Kalkbrenner, Sion James, and Con Knibb. An unrealistic move for the Charlotte Hornets, you know, trade Miles Bridges and look for your starting center for the future. They have Moussa Diabate and Brian Kalkbrenner, but if they want to get a center for the now, you know, they could look for someone like a Nick Claxton, a Daniel Gafford, or an Isaiah Stewart. And that's every single team in the Eastern Conference. I'll be doing a Western Conference video as well. Let me know what you thought of this video, and if you agree with any of my picks, or what you would do if you were the general manager of these teams. Have a good one. See ya.